here are the problems for 7-2C continued. And this is 7-2C continued, which starts on page 501 and goes to 502. Pages 501, 02. Okay, so let's start. Solve for V. Here's our literal equation. H is equal to V squared over G. First thing I would do is I would multiply both sides of the equation by G. What we're trying to do is eliminate those things that are connected to the V. The first of which is G, which is basically this is oh my gosh, I can't believe it, I forgot. Division, divided, thank you. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So we go V squared over G times G. G divided by G is 1, and 1 as a multiplier can be eliminated. So thus we have G times H is equal to V squared. And now all I'm going to do is get rid of the square. The way to get rid of a square is by square root. So I'm going to square root both sides of the equation. And I wind up with V equals GH, which of course is equal to V equals GH. Square root thereof. Okay? So that takes care of 20. 21, I'm supposed to solve for D. First thing I would do is probably make this into a fraction. So I'm going to make this over 1. I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to go 1 times K large M small m. It's all multiplication. And this becomes F times D squared. Alright. Next step, if we're solving for D, would be to eliminate the F. F is a multiplication, multiplying D squared, so we'll do the opposite operation and perform division with that variable. And what you do to one side of the equation, you do to the other. So F divided by F is 1. 1 as a multiplier can be eliminated. So we're left with K M small m. That's all multiplication on top. F on the bottom, and we have D squared on the right side of the equal sign. The way to get rid of a square is by square rooting. So that's what we'll do. I'll go D squared, the square root of D squared is equal to the square root of K M M over F. And so we're left with D is equal to the square root of K times M times small m, all divided by F. That's 21. 22. Here we're looking at solving for B. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of the square root. Well, to get rid of a square root, square both sides. So we're going to go A squared is equal to the square root of B squared plus C squared. And we're going to square that whole thing. The square and the square root cancel each other. So we have A, whoops, that's a lousy A. Let's try that again. Here we have A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared. And so C squared is adding to the B squared, so we're going to subtract C squared from both sides of the equation. So now I have A squared. Boy, let's just try that again. I have A squared minus C squared is equal to B squared. And then finally, to get rid of a square, square root it. So I'm going to square root B squared. And what you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other. So our final answer is B is equal to the square root of A squared minus C squared. So these are the answers for problems 20, 21, and 22.